The world Madara Uchiha was born into wasn't one of gentle breezes and warm sunshine. It was a world of blood and iron, a world where death was a constant companion, a world where children were taught to wield kunai before they could read. The warring clans period raged across the land, consuming everything in its path like an uncontrolled fire. Clan clashed against clan, fueled by ancient grudges and an insatiable thirst for power. The Uchiha clan, with their Sharingan eyes, were a force to be reckoned with, their prowess on the battlefield unmatched. But even among these fierce warriors, Madara stood out. He was a prodigy, his talent with chakra surpassing even the most seasoned veterans. He trained relentlessly, honing his skills to a razor's edge, driven by a burning desire to protect the ones he loved from the horrors that surrounded them. Madara had 4 brothers, but one by one they were swallowed by the abyss of war, their lives tragically cut short. Each loss gnawed at his soul, fueling a growing rage and despair. He vowed that he would never feel such pain again. He would create a world where such tragedies were impossible, a world where peace reigned. It was this burning desire, this unwavering conviction, that would shape Madara's destiny, leading him down a path paved with both greatness and ruin. For a child forged in the fires of war, peace wasn't just a dream, but an obsession, a goal worth sacrificing everything for. In the middle of all the chaos and bloodshed, a glimmer of hope appeared. Madara met Hashirama Senju, the heir to the rival Senju clan, by the river. They were just kids, brought together by the same dream, a dream of a world without war, a world where children could grow up without fear. They trained together in secret, their bond deepening with each passing day, their rivalry pushing them to new heights of power. They talked about creating a village where children wouldn't have to fight, a place of peace and understanding. They called it the Hidden Leaf Village, a symbol of their shared dream. It was a fragile dream, threatened by the smoldering hatred and suspicion between their clans. For a time, their bond seemed unbreakable, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. They fought side by side, their combined strength challenging the ancient animosity that divided their people. But even the strongest bonds can be tested, and the path to peace is rarely straight or easy. The weight of their respective histories, the burden of their clans' expectations, and the whispers of doubt and fear all conspired to drive a wedge between them. The dream they shared, the hope they embodied, began to slip through their fingers like sand. Madara saw the world with clear yet tired eyes. He recognized the endless cycle of hate that plagued the shinobi world. Every conflict birthed new hatred, every victory sowed the seeds for the next war. He desperately wanted to break free from this vicious cycle, to create a future where such suffering was unimaginable. He believed that true peace could only be achieved through understanding, but not through words. He believed it could only be achieved through power, through a power so overwhelming that it could extinguish any dissent, any spark of conflict before it could ignite into a raging inferno. This belief, born from the ashes of his shattered childhood, became the driving force behind his every action. He sought to unite the world under his will, believing that only then could humanity be saved from itself. His methods were often ruthless, his actions bordering on tyranny, but his ultimate goal, however misguided, remained the same: to create a world of lasting peace. The tragedy of Madara Uchiha lies not in his desire for peace, but in the methods he deemed necessary to achieve it. The fragile peace between Madara and Hashirama began to crumble when Madara discovered a bitter truth. The Senju, under the guise of an alliance, were planning to conquer the Uchiha. This betrayal, whether real or imagined, cut deep into Madara's already wounded heart. The seed of doubt planted by his brother Izuna's dying words blossomed into poisonous vines, choking the remnants of trust he had for Hashirama and the Senju. He felt betrayed, manipulated, his dream of peace shattered by the very people he trusted most. The world, it seemed, was determined to prove him right, that peace was nothing but a fleeting illusion, a cruel joke played by fate. His heart hardened, his resolve strengthened. He would no longer rely on others to achieve his goals. He would shoulder the burden of peace alone, even if it meant ruling through power and fear. The chasm between Madara and Hashirama, once bridged by their shared dream, now stretched impossibly wide, a testament to the destructive power of doubt and the tragic consequences of broken trust. Their final confrontation, a clash of titans fueled by heartbreak and despair, would forever change the fate of the shinobi world. As the storm of betrayal raged in Madara's heart, a flicker of an idea began to glimmer in the shadows of his mind. This world, cracked and bloody, has proven time and again that it cannot maintain peace on its own. The cycle of hatred, the endless war, it all seemed inevitable. But what if there was another way? A way to force peace, to create a world free from suffering, even if it meant changing reality itself. Madara's mind turned to the ancient Uchiha texts, the stories of the Sage of Six Paths and the ultimate evolutionary power of the Sharingan. He remembered Izuna's words, the warnings about misplaced trust, and the dream of unity that now felt like a cruel illusion. It was then that the seed of a new vision took root, a world where no one would suffer, where no one would betray, where peace would reign forever. A dream so powerful, it could rewrite the very fabric of existence. True peace cannot be entrusted to the fickle desires of man, Madara whispered to the empty room, his voice heavy with resolve. It must be absolute, unwavering, eternal. His eyes, shimmering with the crimson light of the Sharingan, seemed to pierce the fabric of reality. In that moment, Madara was no longer a man consumed by doubt or despair. He was a man with a purpose, a singular drive to reshape the world in his image. Thus, the dream of infinite Tsukuyomi was born. A dream that would end suffering, even at the cost of freedom. Madara would bear this burden alone, shouldering the weight of the world's salvation. In his mind, it was the only way. But he did not know, this path would lead to a battle that would echo through the ages, a clash of ideals that would decide the fate of the shinobi world. The eternal dream was born, and with it, the line between savior and tyrant began to blur. As Madara's vision of the eternal dream grew stronger, a different kind of storm began to brew. Hashirama, the man who was once his closest friend and steadfast rival, started to sense a dark shift in Madara's resolve. The seeds of doubt that had been sown between them were now bearing bitter fruit, setting the stage for an unavoidable confrontation. Madara, this path you've chosen, this isn't peace. Hashirama's voice echoed in the darkened halls of their shared memories. His tone was filled with sorrow, tinged with frustration. You can't force the world into harmony by taking away its freedom. Peace without choice is no peace at all. Madara, standing at the precipice of his vision, gazed out at the landscape of a war-torn land. The weight of Hashirama's words seemed to hang in the air, but his resolve remained unshaken. And what has freedom given us, Hashirama? Pain? Betrayal? Endless bloodshed? It is a flawed ideal, one that humanity cannot uphold. My path, my dream, will end this suffering forever. Their ideals, once aligned, now stood as opposing poles. Hashirama, the embodiment of hope and belief in humanity's potential, and Madara, the harbinger of enforced tranquility, were now destined to clash. In the depths of the final valley, the two titans faced each other, their past friendship overshadowed by the enormity of their ideological divide. The roar of the waterfall between them mirrored the tempest within their hearts. "Madara, we can still find another way," Hashirama pleaded, his hands trembling slightly as he braced himself for the inevitable. "We can work together like we always dreamed. Don't let this darkness consume you." Madara's red Sharingan spun with a ferocity that seemed to distort the air around him. "There is no other way, Hashirama. I have seen the truth. If you will not join me, then you will stand in my way, and I cannot allow that." His voice held no malice, only an unshakable resolve that sent a chill through the air. As their chakras surged, the atmosphere grew heavy, crackling with the energy of two forces destined to collide. Their battle was not just a clash of jutsu, but a clash of dreams, of ideals, and of the very fabric of what peace and freedom truly meant. The first strike was not just a physical blow, but a declaration of their unbreakable wills. The final valley would bear witness to the legacy of their friendship and the tragedy of their division. Each attack carried the weight of their shared past, and the pain of their opposing futures. This was no longer a fight to protect their own visions. It was a fight that would shape the destiny of the world. And as the dust began to rise, the line between hero and villain blurred. Dust flies in the final valley. It's quiet, a heavy, suffocating quiet. The once lush green land is now scarred, bearing the weight of a terrible fight. The statues of Hashirama and Madara stand tall, but their presence is overshadowed by the destruction around them. Hashirama kneels, his breath ragged, his body trembling with exhaustion. In his hand, a broken kunai, a symbol of their shattered bond. His voice, barely a whisper, is heavy with grief. Madara, why did it have to be this way? We were supposed to change the world together. Across from him, Madara lies motionless, his body battered but his expression firm. The Sharingan in his eye flickers weakly, a faint echo of his once unwavering resolve. Even in defeat, there's no regret in his gaze, only the remnants of a dream that refuses to die. I chose this path, Hashirama. Madara's voice, weak but steady, breaks the silence. Even if the world doesn't see it now, someday they will understand. My dream will live on even if I don't. Hashirama clenches his fist, his heart torn between anger and despair. The friend he once trusted is now a stranger, a man consumed by a vision that has cost him everything. Your dream, it only brings pain, Madara. Peace cannot be born from violence. It must come from understanding, from trust. Madara's lips curve into a weak smile, his eyes closing as his strength fades. Perhaps you're right, or perhaps you're wrong. Only time will tell. His voice trails off, leaving an eerie silence. Hashirama stands, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The battle is over, but the scars it left behind will never fade. The final valley will stand as a monument to their conflict, a reminder of the fragility of peace and the price of a dream. As the wind carries the last echoes of their fight, Hashirama makes a silent vow. I won't let this be the end. I will carry the hope we shared, Madara, and I will build a world where no one has to suffer like we did. From the ashes of destruction, nature always finds a way to begin again, and so do people. The final valley is a place where dreams collide, but also a place where new hope can be born. Even though we couldn't solve this together, I will keep trying. This world must have a chance to change. His voice is filled with emotion, like a man carrying the weight of the world but not losing hope. Two friends, two enemies, two pillars that shaped history. Though their paths diverge, their legacies are forever intertwined. The final valley will not just be a reminder of their battle, but also a symbol of humanity's potential to choose a different path. And in every failed dream, there is a chance for another dream to grow. This world isn't perfect, but as long as there are those who believe, hope will never die. The final valley, once a stage of destruction, now begins to sow the seeds of renewal. As the scars of battle fade, a new story begins to take root, a story written not with blood, but with the promise of unity. Hashirama's vision of peace wasn't just a dream, but a seed planted in the hearts of many. Though the journey is long and challenging, the desire to rebuild burns brighter than ever. Madara's legacy, though shrouded in conflict, serves as a reminder of the cost of division. But even in his pursuit of an unending dream, he left behind a lesson future generations can choose to learn. The final valley is no longer a place where dreams collide, but a place where dreams begin anew. In the hands of the next generation lies the power to shape a better world, and as long as they carry the lessons of the past, hope will continue to bloom. Even though the seeds of peace have taken root, there's still a melody unwritten, a symphony waiting to be completed. The next generation carries the weight of lessons learned and the responsibility to make sure the mistakes of the past aren't repeated. The scars of history may never truly fade, but they serve as a reminder of the cost of division and the value of unity. True peace isn't the absence of struggle, but the presence of understanding. It's in these moments of compromise that the foundations of a brighter tomorrow are laid. The story of this valley is far from over. It's a story of growth, of resilience, and of hope. And though the past may echo in its stones, the future sings in the voices of those who walk its paths. And so, the unfinished symphony continues, its melody carried by those who dare to dream. But, what is an ending if not the beginning of something new? With every step forward, we carry the echoes of those who have walked before us. Today, we don't just remember the past. We celebrate the courage to dream, to create a world where every voice is heard, and every soul is valued. Every small step, every simple action is part of a larger harmony. The world may not be perfect, but through unity we create something close to a miracle. The messages from the past, though delayed, still have the power to shape the future. In every word there is a lesson. In every lesson, there is an opportunity for change. And here in this valley the echoes of unity will continue to resound. Those who come after will hear, they will learn, and they will create their own symphony, an eternal symphony. For in unity we find eternity. Madara Uchiha, a mystery, a visionary, and a man burdened by his ideals. To understand the battles he fought, we must understand the philosophy that guided his every step. Madara believed that power is the only constant in an ever-changing world. For him, power wasn't just a tool to dominate, but a way to create peace, a peace he thought impossible to achieve through mere dialogue or fragile agreements. You and I know, Hashirama, this world is trapped in a never-ending cycle. Hate breeds hate, war breeds war. If we can't break the cycle, then we must control it. Control, for Madara, was the highest form of peace. A world where unity isn't a choice but a certainty. A dream where everyone is equal, not through understanding, but through obedience to a single will. True peace only exists when there is no conflict, and there is no conflict when all minds are one. This ideology, though visionary, is also deeply flawed. Madara's dream of unity comes at the cost of individuality. His desire to end suffering blinds him to the beauty of struggle, the growth that comes from overcoming hardship. Peace is not the absence of war, it is the absence of freedom. Only then can humanity escape its own darkness. Madara's philosophy, though rooted in the pursuit of peace, is a paradox. In his attempt to protect the world, he sought to control it. In his desire to end conflict, he became its greatest instigator. But perhaps, in his own way, Madara was a teacher. His failures serve as a reminder that peace cannot be forced, it must be nurtured. Power alone cannot break the cycle of conflict. Empathy, understanding, and the willingness to change hold the key. Madara Uchiha's philosophy is a mirror reflecting the potential and the perils of human ambition. His story is not just a tale of what has been, but a warning of what could be. For in the pursuit of peace, we must not forget the humanity that binds us all. Because true peace is not found in control, but in connection. Inside a dark cave, Madara Uchiha sits. His frail body is now just a shadow of the man he once was. Before him, a younger Obito Uchiha listens carefully, his eyes filled with doubt and a glimmer of hope. This isn't just a conversation, it's the passing of a torch, an indoctrination into an ideal that will shape the future. Tell me, Obito, Madara's voice, though weak, carries undeniable authority. What is the price of peace? Obito hesitates, unsure how to answer, but Madara continues, his words sharp and deliberate, as if carving them into the young man's soul. Peace isn't free, Madara says, his gaze piercing. It demands sacrifice, the sacrifice of ideals, individuality, freedom itself. To create a world without pain, we must first eliminate the chaos that births it. And chaos, Obito, comes from the human heart. As Obito absorbs these words, Madara leans closer, his voice now a near whisper, but no less commanding. You see, the world is trapped in a cycle of hate. It's unavoidable as long as people cling to their own desires, their own will. The only way to break this cycle is to unite them under one purpose, one dream, my dream. Madara gestures towards the Gedo statue looming in the dim light, its ominous presence a testament to his plan. This, he says, is the key. Through it, we will create a reality where no one suffers, where no one fights. A world where everyone is equal, not by choice but by necessity. A world of true peace. But Obito, still hesitant, questions him. Is that truly peace, Madara? If people lose their freedom, their ability to choose, isn't that just another form of suffering? For a moment, silence fills the room, broken only by the crackling of the nearby fire. Freedom, Madara finally says, his tone almost mournful, is a beautiful illusion. It's the very thing that has brought mankind to war, to pain, to despair. By taking it away, we aren't destroying their lives, we are saving them. They won't know suffering, only tranquility, and in time, they will thank us. Obito's eyes narrow, the weight of Madara's words pressing on his conscience. He is being asked not just to believe, but to commit. To abandon the world he knows for a dream he doesn't fully understand. But Madara's conviction is unwavering, his vision both intoxicating and terrifying. You'll see, Obito, Madara concludes, his frail hand resting on the young man's shoulder. The world cannot save itself. We must save it for them. And to do that, we must become the villains they fear, so we can give them the peace they need. In that moment, Obito's path is set. Madara has planted the seed of his philosophy, and though it will take time to grow, its roots have already sunk deep into his heart. The disciple has been chosen, and the dream of the infinite Tsukuyomi is one step closer to reality. But as history will later reveal, even the most meticulous plans are not immune to the very chaos they seek to eliminate. And in Obito's hands, Madara's dream will take on a life of its own, for better or for worse. Madara's teachings are not just lessons, they are a legacy of power, sacrifice, and a dream that will forever haunt the world he sought to save. Obito, disguised as Madara, was manipulating everything from behind the scenes. Meanwhile, the real Madara waited in his slumber, his life connected to his cunning plan. Madara's trust in Obito wasn't blind faith but calculated. He had foreseen this chaos and Obito's role in it. But even Madara didn't anticipate how this war would unfold, and who would oppose him. When Madara was revived with the reanimation jutsu, the battlefield seemed to tremble. Standing on the devastated ground, Madara looked upon the chaos with disgust and excitement. His Sharingan blazed, piercing through the fog of war. His voice was calm, but heavy like an ancient storm. "So this is the world without me?" he murmured, more to himself. "A bunch of fools fighting over scraps while the true enemy, their own hatred, hides within their hearts." Then, with a single motion, he unleashed tremendous power. The sky darkened as meteors rained down upon his enemies. The battlefield became a testament to his power, vision, and conviction. Madara's revival wasn't just about power, but a declaration of his philosophy. Every move, every attack, was a lesson to the world, proof of the futility of resisting his dream. For Madara, war wasn't just a tool, but a stage to prove that his vision of peace was the only way. The allied shinobi forces struggled against Madara's might, but he remained calm. To him, they weren't enemies, but lost children, clinging to a failed system. "Your efforts are commendable," he said with pity, "but futile. You fight for a world that cannot be saved, for ideals that will only bring more suffering. Lay down your weapons and let me free you from this endless cycle." The shinobi refused. They fought desperately, their determination a stark contrast to Madara's cold logic. In their resistance, Madara felt frustration, but also a hint of respect. Though he wanted to crush their spirit, he couldn't deny the power of their belief, the very belief he saw as the root of the world's suffering. As the war raged on, Madara became a symbol of both fear and inevitability. To some, he was a monster, a relic of the past seeking to impose his will. To others, he was a visionary, a man willing to do whatever it took to achieve true peace. But to Madara himself, he was neither hero nor villain. He was simply one who had seen the world for what it was, and dared to change it. The Fourth Great Ninja War wasn't just a battle between armies, but a clash of ideologies, and in the midst of it all stood Madara Uchiha, firm in his belief that his infinite Tsukuyomi was the only salvation for a broken world. But as history has shown, even the best-laid plans can fail. And in the chaos of war, Madara's dream would face challenges he never anticipated. Madara's revival wasn't just a chapter in history but a turning point, a moment when the world stood on the brink of transformation, between destruction and rebirth. Though his dream ultimately changed, the echoes of Madara's philosophy continued to shape the world, long after the war ended. The Fourth Great Ninja War raged on, but amidst the chaos, an unseen storm brewed. A storm even Madara Uchiha couldn't predict. A betrayal, sharp and decisive, would strike at the heart of his grand plan. And in its wake, the power of pure resolve would rise to challenge him. Obito, the student who once carried Madara's dream, began to waver. His heart, burdened by memories of Rin and the ideals of his past, began to crack under the pressure of the approaching infinite Tsukuyomi. The mask he once wore, both literally and figuratively, shattered into pieces. Obito made his move. With the Ten Tails rampaging and Madara's grip on the battlefield tightening, Obito seized the opportunity to wrest control. He defied Madara, taking the Ten Tails' power for himself and declaring his own path. Madara's reaction was ice cold. His voice, calm yet seething with disgust, cut through the chaos like a blade. "So you choose the path of a traitor, Obito, after all I've given you, after all I've shown you? This is how you repay me?" Obito's voice trembled, but not with fear, but with conviction. "You didn't show me the truth of the world, Madara. You showed me your truth, a twisted vision born from despair. I will stop you, no matter the cost." Madara's Sharingan blazed, his Rinnegan swirling with power. He stepped forward, his presence overwhelming. "Foolish child, you think you can defy me? You are but a pawn, and pawns have no place questioning the king." But before Madara could strike, another force entered the fray. A whirlwind of raw energy and unwavering resolve. Might Guy, Konoha's green beast, stepped onto the battlefield. Guy's voice boomed across the war-torn land, filled with an intensity that demanded attention. "Madara Uchiha, you have underestimated the power of youth and the will to protect what we hold dear. I will not let you destroy this world." Madara's expression shifted, a hint of amusement flickering across his face. "Ah, the so-called green beast. Let's see if your bark is as strong as your bite." And then it happened. Guy unleashed the eighth gate of death, his body enveloped in a crimson aura of unimaginable power. The ground trembled beneath him as his overwhelming presence ignited the battlefield. Madara's eyes widened, not with fear but with respect. "So this is the resolve of humanity," he murmured. "Come then, show me your power." The clash was nothing short of legendary. Guy's speed and power pushed Madara to his limits, each strike ripping through the air with the force of a hurricane. Madara, for the first time in years, found himself on the defensive, his perfect Susanoo struggling against the might of the Red Beast. As the battle reached its peak, Guy's body began to falter, the strain of the eighth gate taking its inevitable toll. But he didn't stop. With one final, earth-shattering attack, Night Guy, he launched himself at Madara with the full force of his soul. Madara took the blow head-on. His body battered, his armor shattered, yet he remained standing. His voice carried a mixture of awe and arrogance. "You almost had me. Almost. You truly are the strongest taijutsu user I've ever faced. But it's over now." Guy collapsed, his body broken but his spirit unyielding. Naruto arrived just in time, saving Guy from the brink of death with the power of the Six Paths Sage. Madara, though victorious, felt the weight of the encounter. For the first time he acknowledged the strength of those who fought not for themselves, but for the bonds they cherished. Obito's betrayal and Guy's selflessness marked a turning point in the war, a moment where the cracks in Madara's grand scheme began to show. The world may have been on the brink of destruction, but the spirit of the shinobi remained unbroken. From the ashes of countless battles, Madara Uchiha stood as an unyielding force, a man whose vision of a perfect world drove him to push past the boundaries of death itself. But even the strongest can falter when faced with betrayal. As the moon hung high above the ravaged battlefield, Madara's plan, the infinite Tsukuyomi, was nearing fruition. The God Tree loomed menacingly, its roots spreading across the land, and the light of the eternal dream began to take hold. Madara, triumphant yet weary, stood at the pinnacle of his grand design. His voice resonated with conviction, speaking to the chaos he sought to end. "This world, filled with pain and suffering, will finally know peace. My dream, our dream, will become a reality." But fate had other plans. In the shadows of Madara's victory, a sinister figure lurked. Black Zetsu, a creature born from the will of Kaguya Otsutsuki. As Madara reached the height of his power, a sharp, cold sensation pierced his back. His Rinnegan widened in shock as Black Zetsu's voice whispered with venomous derision. "Did you truly believe you were the architect of this plan, Madara? You were merely a pawn, a vessel for her will." Madara staggered, his hand clutching his chest as the truth began to unfold before him. Black Zetsu, the entity he had trusted as an ally, revealed its true allegiance. The infinite Tsukuyomi was not his dream, it was Kaguya's resurrection. "No, this is my plan, my vision, I I am this world's savior. Pause, voice rising. But his words went unheard. Black Zetsu's betrayal was absolute, consuming Madara's body and transforming him into a vessel for Kaguya's return. The once mighty Uchiha, who sought to reshape the world in his image, was now reduced to a stepping stone for a god. As Kaguya emerged, her presence overwhelming and majestic, Madara's fading consciousness was engulfed in a storm of emotions, anger, sorrow, and regret. In his final moments, a haunting realization dawned upon him. The power he sought to wield had destroyed him. Madara's voice, faint yet firm, echoed in the void. I was wrong, the world cannot be controlled. Humanity's strength lies not in domination, but in their bonds. And with that, Madara Uchiha, the legendary shinobi, the visionary, the harbinger of chaos, was gone. His legacy, a blend of triumph and tragedy, would resonate through time as a cautionary tale of ambition and the price of power. Black Zetsu's betrayal marked not only the end of Madara's dream, but also the beginning of a greater battle. The world, still wounded and broken, now faced the wrath of Kaguya Otsutsuki, an entity beyond comprehension. Yet, amidst the despair, the embers of hope still flickered. Madara Uchiha, a name etched in ninja history, a man whose life was shaped by ambition, vision, and unwavering resolve. From the moment he first sought to protect his clan to the final moments where his dream unraveled before him, Madara's journey was one of both triumph and tragedy. Born into a world filled with endless conflict, Madara was no stranger to loss. The bloody battlefields shaped him, forging him into a warrior who sought to break free from the cycle of hatred. But even as he joined hands with Hashirama Senju, his childhood rival and closest friend, the seeds of distrust and differing ideologies began to grow. Madara's vision for peace was one of complete control. He believed that only through domination could the chaos of the ninja world be extinguished. His dream of the infinite Tsukuyomi, a world where everyone would live in an illusion of eternal happiness, was born from his desire to save humanity from the pain it had endured. But that dream, however grand, came at a price Madara was willing to pay. As he ascended to the peak of his power, Madara became a symbol of strength and the embodiment of fear. Yet in his relentless pursuit of peace, he forgot the bonds he once cherished, the bonds of trust, friendship, and unity. The betrayal by Black Zetsu, the realization that he was merely a pawn in a far grander scheme, was the greatest irony of his life. Yet even in his final moments, Madara's words carried a haunting truth. Human strength lies not in domination, but in bonds. It was a belated realization, an admission that echoed the ideals of his former ally, Hashirama. Madara Uchiha's legacy is one of complexity, a cautionary tale of how unchecked ambition can lead to ruin, but it is also a testament to the unwavering resolve of a man who dared to dream of a better world. His actions, his ideals, and his failures shaped the course of the ninja world, leaving behind lessons that would guide future generations. As the world moves forward, wounded but resilient, Madara's story becomes more than just a tale of power and ambition. It becomes a reminder of the fragile balance between strength and compassion, between vision and reality. Madara Uchiha, the warrior, the visionary, the dreamer, his life may have ended, but his impact echoes through eternity. Among the ashes of his ambition, the seeds of a new era are sown, and in the hearts of those who remember, his story remains a beacon, a warning, and a legacy.